Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
This is Bloomberg Businessweek. Insight from the reporters and editors who bring you America's most trusted business magazine, plus global business, finance, and tech news. The Bloomberg Businessweek podcast with Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec from Bloomberg Radio.
Okay, so Carol, we do have a cool guest. I'm going to do the setup, okay?
Take it away.
Because over the last week, I'm thinking, okay, you got Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Then you got Black Friday.
Yeah. Apparently
you have Small Business Saturday.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know what happens on Sunday, so skip that one.
We'll take a rest.
Cyber Monday.
We do nothing on Sunday.
Giving/Travel Tuesday.
I know.
What's tomorrow? You're out of here. You don't care.
Giving Tuesday.
Wednesday? It's Giving Tuesday today. It's Giving Tuesday, yeah.
So is that your point?
What's tomorrow?
Oh.
Wednesday, something. I don't know. They need to figure out something for Wednesday.
You're confusing me, buddy.
All right, that's the idea. Last year in the U.S., people gave $3.1 billion. This is according to the Giving Tuesday Data Commons. It works with various data labs to source info around Giving Tuesday. For an idea about how this year is shaping up, we turn to Tim Cadogan. He is the CEO of the crowdfunding platform GoFundMe, which raises more than $50 million each week.
That's amazing.
He's back with us in the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Good to see you. How are you?
Hey, very good. Thank you for having me, especially on today.
I got to ask you, since we talked about Elon Musk before, and he didn't get the approval. Second time a judge rejected this massive pay package, and we said, that we don't necessarily have to do a GoFundMe page for him yet. Has anybody ever done a crazy GoFundMe page
for Elon?
For Elon?
I haven't seen that, but I have seen some high school students do a GoFundMe to get a tank to take them to high school graduation.
Seriously?
With Darth Vader Outriders.
Did it work? Did they raise the money?
Yep, they raised, I think, about $1,200, and it's a hilarious video. I mean, that's just one of many examples. So, yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's not typically a Giving Tuesday
That's not typical. Well, so it's interesting that you're here on Giving Tuesday, because I do feel like GoFundMe is year-round. It's not necessarily the type of thing that is seasonal, like a lot of other charity. And I don't want to say charity. You're not a charity, but like a lot of charities that are given to on Giving Tuesday. What do you see on the platform around this time of year versus other parts of the year?
Sure. Well, I think the key thing to understand is there's two parts of our business. There's GoFundMe, the consumer personal fundraising part, which nearly everyone knows. And then there's Classy, which we acquired in 2022, which is non-profit fundraising. So it's software typically for mid-size and larger non-profits. These are people like the Salvation Army or Tunnel to Towers, which is a great New York-based charity, or World Central Kitchen. And for those organizations, you're exactly right. Like, this is the giving season. Really, Giving Tuesday is the kickoff for that. The three biggest days of the year are Giving Tuesday, 30th of December, and the 31st of December.
Those latter two for tax reasons, I imagine.
Yeah, people start yes, I've got to get going.
Got to get it in. How much of your business is GoFundMe, as the consumers know, versus the B2B part?
It's about 2/3, 1/3 roughly.
Which one's the 1/3?
The personal fundraising is the bigger part.
Okay.
But they're both big.
They're both big. Which one's growing faster?
They're both growing pretty nicely. And the interesting thing is that our GoFundMe personal fundraising business is in 20 countries, whereas our software, Classy business, currently is mainly in the US. So there's some big differences there as well.
Is it with plans to expand globally?
We hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complicated doing charity fundraising because there's more complicated legislation around the world.
Yeah.
How do you scale it outside of the US then? Like, is there... You target like a couple different countries where you understand the legislation. How does that work?
Well, with the personal fundraising, also there's legislation, but we look at how big's the market, how big's the GDP, what's the disposable income, and also is GoFundMe already known? So, for example, we just launched Mexico as our 20th country in April, and part of that was understanding that we already had 20-25% brand awareness, we had a lot of search activity, and we had a lot of people who wanted and were trying to set up GoFundMes in Mexico, but couldn't because it was not yet a supported market. We saw that demand. We're like, let's get in there. We worked through all the steps to set that up. And get it going.
Always working with local currency, do you think?
Yeah, it's critical. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we're going blockchain yet.
Is there any crypto? Yeah, that's a great question.
We do offer crypto options for the software side of the business. It's actually pretty small.
Yeah.
Does that mean people giving with crypto?
Yeah, people giving. Yeah.
Because that's the thing that I think has emerged in recent years. It's not real. People are holding on to their crypto. They don't want to spend it. What they want to do with it is hold it like a speculative asset.
Sure. Yeah, we're not seeing a lot of people spending there.
So
we are seeing DAF.
It's not being used as a currency. Donor advised funds, you said? Okay.
Yeah, we've been offering that now for most of this year, and we're seeing a nice pickup there, and I think that's going to be a really strong growth area.
Okay, we are Bloomberg, and so I hate to ask this question when you're like helping people, and some of them in dire situations, raise money for a good cause. But so what's the business model for you guys? And do you just stay private? Does it make sense?
Well, two questions there. I'll take the first one first.
I added one on.
So it is an innovative business model. So we thought very carefully about this for the exact reason that you prefaced the question, which is we're here to help people help each other. And so we want as much money as possible going to the recipients of the fundraising.
Right.
So the only thing we take out is the transaction fees, basically the credit card processing fees that the banks charge us. So let's say you raise $100, you receive 97 and the 3%, 2.9% of the US is taken out. That's the transaction processing fee. The way we generate our primary revenue is ask donors to make an optional tip to us. It's a very simple UI. We have a suggested number, it varies, and then the user, without a click, can slide that to zero.
What portion of users actually give a tip?
Enough. Enough people are generous to us, they value the platform. Essentially, we're saying, you tell us what you think our service is worth, and if it's worth something to you, set the price.
What do they think it's worth usually? Not in terms of money, in terms of percentage of the donation, of the contribution. I keep saying donation, but that's
it's a contribution to us. It's a modest percentage, should I put it that way?
Single digits.
Modest, yeah.
But it's enough to keep the lights on and enough to make you profitable?
Keep the lights on, keep us profitable, and critically keep us investing in product, technology, trust and safety, and customer service. Those are the key areas that we invest in.
Let's talk about trust and safety.
Sure.
Wait.
Yeah.
One quickie.
Yeah.
So without that, would you guys not be able to keep the lights on?
That's our revenue. Yeah. No, we rely on that is the way we generate the revenue.
But it hasn't always been like that.
It started out as a fixed 5% fee, and then this is about a year and a half before I joined, 2018, I think late 2018, shifted to a voluntary tip model, which we think is much more in line with what customers want.
Do you make more from the voluntary tip model than you did with that blanket 5%?
That depends on the country and the donor, so it varies.
Trust and safety.
Yes.
How do you know what you're giving to is legit? I mean, look, I've used it, and I think I talked about this last year when we spoke to you, but my building has a block party every year, and they use GoFundMe to raise money for the block party.
For doing that. Yeah.
I was on the board, so you're welcome. But I was one of those board members who didn't do anything. I know, shocking, right? There's always the one guy who does everything. Carol knows.
But I'm on the board.
Let's face it, it's usually a woman.
It is usually the woman.
Hey, listen, we get it done and we get it done in heels.
Are we projecting here?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
No. Truth.
But I do wonder, that. So then you're reaching out to people who and you're actually going to see the fund. But I think oftentimes there are people out there who maybe stumble upon one on social media, or maybe they even just go to your website, and you go to your website, you see them highlighted there. How do you know those are legit? They're going to the actual
what they're saying. Making sure that people have trust in that they trust us enough to put their story up there, which often, as you said, Carol, is really important, and often some of the toughest things that people are going through. So they need to trust us as the person asking for help. And your question is more about the giver. Yeah. Can I trust what I'm seeing? So think about it in a few layers. First, you already hit on it. There's a huge social proof layer. The vast majority of fundraising is with friends and family and community. So the block party's real. And so you're going to give to the GoFundMe because you know that. And so most fundraisers do not make any progress unless they make initial momentum with the people that frankly know you, love you, care about you. So there's a social proof layer right there built into the way the model works. The second thing is we've had over $30 billion raised, many, many millions of fundraisers. So we have a huge amount of data that tells us what looks like a legitimate pattern and what doesn't. That's when the trust and safety team then kicks in, because if there's some behavior there that doesn't look quite right, then our team will look at that, make sure it's legitimate, or in some cases not. Actually, very few are illegitimate because it just doesn't work.
Wait, but how do you figure it out? Like, do you talk to the people? How do you figure it out to make sure?
Yeah, so then there's a couple more pieces coming in as well, which is once money starts to be raised, Then we go put the beneficiary through KYC, know your customer, or KYB if it's a business, which quite a lot of people raise for a business, right?
Yeah.
And so that's both us and those banks I mentioned, those payment service providers. We're both doing KYC on the customer, validating that it is the person, that they are going to use it for legitimate means, and the funds are only released until that is all correct.
So how do you validate someone? Like, what is it that you look for?
We're looking for that their identity is correct, that it matches, that they're verified to their bank account information, that all the flows are clean and precise. And we're also looking for the donor activity to make sure that there's correlation and there's logical connectivity between the people donating, i.e. that they're coming from the community, and there's patterns of behavior that make sense. A little bit like what a credit card company is looking at, those kind of patterns that indicate that something is legitimate or not legitimate.
Is that your biggest expense? What's your biggest overhead?
Product technology.
Product
is
technology.
By far the area we invest the most.
But is that development? Is it paying people, or is it servers? Like,
I'll come to that. I just want to hit one last thing, because this trust and safety is so important. So,
because I can't tell you how many people are times it's like, how do you know? How do you, like I've heard in conversations.
Here's the
like,
last piece.
How do you know this is real?
So we a few years ago we instituted the GoFundMe Giving Guarantee, which is a global guarantee. Any donation of any amount made worldwide for up to a 1 year afterwards is covered.
Wow.
And that's great.
Wait, what do you mean it's covered?
So if there's any kind of problem, or you want a refund, you've got it.
Oh, interesting. From anybody who donates or contributes.
Anybody who donates up to a year afterwards. Any
so
amount.
if someone didn't have fun at the block party,
that would be different.
They could come to you and say,
that would be on you guys.
You guys didn't have enough snacks at the block party, so I want my $20 back.
I mean, and the fortunate thing is we don't have to use that policy very much at all.
That's
because
great.
most people asking for help are real people, legitimate people, genuinely asking for help because they need it. That's what most humans do.
When I see some of these big campaigns that end up going viral, I think to myself, and maybe it's because it's the Bloomberg in me, but I think to myself, this person is going to get a sudden influx of cash, and that cash might be to plan for their child's education if they lost a parent, something absolutely tragic like that, which unfortunately we do see with these campaigns. They need somebody on the side of, wealth management or investing to help them manage a windfall such as that. Do you guys do any of that?
We don't. It's something we've thought about, because you're absolutely right. I mean, someone's often put into a very demanding and unusual situation, and then they've got this influx of cash, which is a great problem, but it's a problem. But it's not something that we've gone into, and maybe it's something we can help with in the future. But I agree with you; it's something that's important.
Go ahead, please.
Sorry, you were asking about the product stuff.
When you say the expenses in the product, is it about paying, AWS for server space or whoever?
It's people, right?
It's paying engineers?
It is our product team, our design team, our engineering team, who build a very unique product.
Is it hard to find them?
Actually, not terribly, because we offer a really interesting set of product and technical challenges to work on. And we offer a really rare combination of it's technically interesting, it's a well-paying job, and the purpose is bar none, right? You get to work on products that help people help each other. So it's a really nice blend. So we have we're very fortunate in terms of our ability to
Is there an average raise on kind of the individual side, the crowdfunding side, or the?
It's really hard to say, because it is across the board. Yeah, you
have the data.
The average is meaningless, though. Here's the problem, right? The average is meaningless because it includes some really small things and some gargantuan things.
What's the biggest amount that's ever been?
The largest amount was $45 million raised for a campaign, a fundraiser on GoFundMe.org, which is our sister, which was America's Food Fund, which was set up by Laureen Powell Jobs and Leo DiCaprio, and that was in COVID, so for food insecurity.
Wow, that's
the largest number of donations ever was for the George Floyd family fundraiser.
Wow.
How much is that?
That was, I think, about $14 or $50 million, but the largest number of
individual donors.
Wow.
From about 150 countries.
Tim Cadogan, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. The CEO of GoFundMe joining us right here in studio. Happy holidays.
This is the Bloomberg Business Week podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Listen live weekday afternoons from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern on Bloomberg.com, the iHeartRadio app, TuneIn, and the Bloomberg Business app. You can also watch us live every weekday on YouTube and always on the Bloomberg Terminal.